Joe here, Profit First Reseller. And there's a quote that's been bouncing around in my head today from a Zen Buddhist writer and philosopher from a long time ago. I just looked them up, the 9th century. Chenyun Wei-shin, I think is their name. And the quote goes something like this: before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. I think about that all the time. I think so much of maybe enlightenment or finding that state of peace wherever you're at in life, it is an internal shift. And externally, you might still have to be doing all the same things that you have to do to be a human, to exist in a capitalist society, whatever it is. Sometimes even just taking care of my own body seems like a chore. And yet, I also recognize that if I could just change my perspective and realize that to be the owner of a living human body is such a privilege that I probably shouldn't be complaining about the fact that I need to give myself food and water every few hours. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Now, in the beginning of this eBay journey, I figured out kind of what I thought was the path. List items, find items, list items, list items, find items. And I started off listing. I started off just listing everything in the house until I had nothing left to list. And then I would go shopping, and then I would stay home until I had nothing left to list. And that was kind of my mantra for a while. And I realized back then, that was before enlightenment. Right now, my job looks actually quite similar. I've streamlined my sourcing a little bit, and I've streamlined the kinds of items that I get. I'm still doing the same thing. I'm still wrapping things in bubble wrap just the same way. I'm still using poly bags just the same way. And what's changed, I think, is my internal state. I've recognized that the more I do this day after day, and now year after year, I'm going into year 7 of selling on eBay here full time, and I recognize this is my calling. I feel very aligned with this. There's an airplane going right over us. I was so lucky to go on John Flippin' Ain't Easy's podcast. And a couple of the comments, and it's maybe something I take for granted, were like, how are you so happy all the time? And part of it is I'm just happy to be talking to my buddy John, and glad that he was able to have me on. But I think part of it on a day-to-day basis for me, part of my secret sauce, is I just feel very aligned. I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I recognize that it is monotonous sometimes, that my job that I've chosen for myself is monotonous. And I wonder if other people would benefit from a similar realization. I see a lot of other eBay sellers on YouTube and in the groups that I'm in, on social media. Often they will figure out something that works. They list and sell 20 shoes a day for a little while, maybe a day, maybe a few days, or maybe they list and sell 30 shirts and recognize like that is a real business, but then quickly recognize that it's hard. It is hard. And I think my perspective is just that I welcome it. Like I expect my job to be hard. I expect that a job that pays this well, that has this kind of potential, but still allows me to hang out with my family, I expect it to be hard. And so from my perspective, when I'm sitting here just untangling cables in the sun is about to come out over my roof, and I'm just going to be in the complete exposed sun for the rest of the day here in Texas. It's been bearable up until now. And this is what I've chosen. I want to be outside. I want the sun. I want that vitamin D, and I want the challenge. I want the challenge of this kind of stuff. This is not easy inventory. This is not an easy life. It is good. It is a good life. And I recognize that I'm still chopping wood and carrying water in this business. And I noticed, though, as I was thinking about that quote and relating it to my own life now, I think in some way, at least in my business life for the time being, I have reached that stage of just accepting the journey and recognizing that this is my path. I don't have the internal back and forth. So much of early on when you're starting a business, so much mental energy is spent wondering if it's a good idea or if this is going to work. I know this works. I know that if I chop wood and carry water in this business, that the customers are there. If I just sell regular old replacement parts, just like I'd recognize that I've been doing for years, the customers will come. So I just wanted to share that with you, that quote. There's one other Zen quote I've been thinking about today that I'll end on here. And the quote from Thich Nhat Hanh is another Zen writer and teacher that I've just learned a lot from, said, "There is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way." I'm Joe, Profit First Reseller. See you next time. Peace.